Hi everybody, Meteorologist David Paul here in the KHOU Weather Center. Tropical update for Monday, August 29th. It is looking likely that we're going to get storm development in the Atlantic Ocean over the next couple of days. However, it looks like what's out there may stay in the Atlantic Ocean. Let's get to what's going on out here. Gulf of Mexico, quiet as a mouse. Had some scattered thunderstorms, deep tropical moisture over the western Gulf. Some of that moved inland gave Houston heavy rain, but it's not showing any signs of tropical development. We've got scattered thunder showers from Florida out over the Florida Keys to the western tip of Cuba. But again, nothing tropical forming here. So the Gulf is quiet. Now, if you remember last week, we were tracking the possibility that a tropical wave might be able to form as we headed into the first part of this week. Well, it looks very unlikely. In fact, now that spot given a 0% chance for development by the National Hurricane Center. So that player in the Caribbean Sea is off the board. You may also remember earlier today we had a 10% chance for a spot here in the open Atlantic. That's also been taken off the board. So now there are only two spots in the Atlantic that we are currently watching. There are two waves, one with an 80% chance, one with a 30% chance. Let's start with this one off the west coast of Africa. And there's a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity here. We've got quite a bit just off the coast of Africa. However, looking at the surface winds, what we have here this evening is a very broad area of low pressure, or a broad surface trough. What we would need to see to get development out here is that trough begin to condense and collapse upon itself and become much more of a focused circulation. We're not seeing that yet. That may happen over the coming days, but at the moment, an elongated surface trough is what we have there. Compare that to 91L. That's the spot here with an 80% chance for development over the next 5 days. Much more defined surface circulation. So at least a surface closed low is trying to form here. That's why it's got the 80% chance for development. And as you look at it, though, there's not a whole lot of shower and thunderstorm activity with this circulation. What we need to see, if this is going to indeed develop into a depression or a tropical storm, is for deep thunderstorm convection to develop near the center of that closed circulation. And at the moment, that is just not happening. It's happening on the fringes. In addition to that, we're also seeing at 700 millibars, so several thousand feet up, some wind shear off to the north and west of the system. The shear is coming out of the northeast, blowing to the southwest. And so that shear is also going to slow down any potential development out of this surface circulation or surface swirl at the moment, 91L. So there are a couple of things working against it right now. Bottom line, this is not about to just become a huge hurricane overnight. This one's going to take several days if indeed it is going to develop. So let's look at the computer models. Here are the GFS and the the GFS and the Euro. GFS in yellow, Euro in red. And between Monday into Thursday, both of them keep that closed swirl, but neither of them really crank a big tropical storm or hurricane. Probably the result of that wind shear interacting with and slowing down any potential development over the next several days. So maybe we get a depression out here. There's San Juan, Puerto Rico, here are the islands, so it's east of the islands going into Thursday. After that, it looks like the upper level conditions might become a little more conducive to development, or at least that's what the American model is picking up on, because it cranks this into a Cat 1 or above hurricane as we head into Monday of next week. So that's 7 days out from today. The Euro does close off the circulation, at least a tropical storm out here, but it's not nearly as intense as what the American model, the GFS, is picking up on. If you've been playing along this season, you may have noticed the American model has been very aggressive in its modeling computer output for trying to develop storms. A lot of those just have not come to fruition, or most of them haven't. So we're kind of looking at the GFS with a grain of salt these days. So that's going into Monday. It's 7 days out. After that, the storm makes a hard right-hand turn, goes across Bermuda, and then at least the American model, the GFS, sends a hurricane out into the open Atlantic, and it never gets close enough to have any direct impacts on the East Coast. Meanwhile, the European opens it up into a wave. It doesn't develop it after that. So again, this might be a situation where the very overly aggressive GFS model, it's doing its thing this season, but obviously there's a possibility we could see a strong storm out here. So we're going to watch that carefully. But either way, both solutions do not have any impacts, direct impacts on the East Coast, maybe some impacts for Bermuda. So if a storm were to form, why would it move in that direction in the first place? It's because we're changing seasons and we're starting to get these troughs and the upper level winds. This is the wind flow, the streamlines up at 34,000 feet. We go into Sunday, so 6 days out from today. Here's the GFS, its more aggressive solution, forming a storm here. But look what's off to the west. See the trough digging here? So that trough, these troughs, as they begin to come off the east coast, quite often will grab these systems and turn them and pull them away from the east coast of the United States. And that's exactly what's forecast here. We've got a trough, a sharpening, deepening trough going into Tuesday of next week. That's 8 days out. And that trough in the upper level flow is just going to grab this and watch it just tug it right on out into the open Atlantic. So if the GFS does verify, even that one does not impact the U.S. It sends a storm off into the open Atlantic and stays well away from Halifax and Nova Scotia and folks up there in the north and east. So even though we may get a storm, it does not look like it's going to directly impact the United States, at least not that one. That's 91L. Here's the other spot, that elongated trough off the west coast of Africa. Let's see what the models say about it. They do close off a low, both the GFS and the Euro, going into Thursday and Friday. So maybe we get a depression out here. Maybe we get a tropical storm. That's Friday. After that, watch what happens. Yeah, they both just kind of lose it. The GFS and the Euro open up. So this storm is forecast to, if it develops a little bit, to go ahead and open up and not become any type of serious threat to the shipping lanes or the United States. That's Monday. That's 7 days out, showing nothing out here. So at the moment, that one coming off the west coast of Africa is on the back burner. We are moving into the peak of hurricane season. Here we are, August 29th. There's September the 10th. Statistically, these things really get going this time. But just because you've got warm water out there, it doesn't mean you're going to have a lot of hurricanes. There's so many different moving parts and ingredients that go into this, and some of it we just don't understand. And I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Are you? Are we really going to get 18 storms or 14 to 20 like NOAA suggests? You know, we learn when we're wrong. And so this may be a very interesting rest of the season. We've only had 3 systems, Alex, Bonnie, Colin. If 91L gets a name, Danielle's the next name on the list, and then Earl, maybe for the one off of the west coast of Africa. Love your questions and comments. Hit me up on social. We'll see you tomorrow for another update.